coming to Berlin, I realized how there was just like so many more queer people and so many more types of queer people that really, really expanded my dating pool and the possibilities to connect with other queer people who are more similar to me.
Okay, with today's Valentine special, we are going to speak to Dominick, who moved from Ireland to Germany and is living in Berlin. Dominick, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Dominick. I'm 30 years old. I've been living in Berlin for about 5 years now, and I work mostly with social media and upcycling clothes.
It's so nice to have you, Dominick. Thank you so much.
For having me.
Tell me, what are the biggest differences you noticed when you started dating in Berlin?
Okay, coming from Ireland, I lived in Cork in the south of Ireland, which is not a very big city, and the queer scene there is substantially smaller than Berlin. I think coming to Berlin, I realized how there was just like so many more queer people and so many more types of queer people that really, really expanded my dating pool and the possibilities to connect with other queer people who are more similar to me.
Yeah, I'm also Irish. That doesn't surprise me at all, because I do think, like, I lived in Galway for years and I think there's one gay bar maybe in all of Galway. So I feel like in general, when you move to Europe, there's just so much more there. And I think particularly Berlin is known for how many bars it has in general, but also particularly for its queer
Definitely.
scenes.
There was a huge difference. In Cork, I went to university there, and at the time there was one queer pub and then there was like one queer nightclub. While here, the fact that I can mostly work for myself and work with friends, I'm almost like exclusively in this bubble of queer people, and it's just a completely 180 from my life back in Ireland. There was just so many spaces that were just for queer people, as opposed to in Ireland, there's kind of spaces that like welcome queer people as well as other people, while here it's more like queer spaces that also welcome other people, if that makes sense. So it's predominantly queer places and areas, and yeah, it just felt really nice. I felt like I had never really had the chance to experience that before.
Yeah, of course. And is there like a specific district in Berlin that you would go to? Is there like a gay district, or are there specific gay bars that you'd recommend people who just moved to Berlin to go to?
There is a gay district. It would be more like around the area of Nonnendorfplatz. There's like a huge amount of like gay bars and gay shops and boutiques and sex stores and stuff like that. But I don't usually go so much to that district. First of all, because it's car, and second of all, it's I guess more like an older kind of gay scene. There's like a huge amount of like older queer people who live there. For where I would prefer to go, I have a lot of friends who live in Friedrichshain. I wouldn't say it's like a gay area, but there's like a lot of young people and queer people in that area too. And a lot of my friends live in that area. And I'm not a huge bar person. I do like going to the club. There's like specific bars that I go to, but different like club nights and events that I would go to see friends. And yeah.
How do you come upon those events? Say, if you're a completely new person in Berlin and you're not in any particular queer group or community, how do you find those things?
I think social media is a really good way to connect with other people who have the same interests as you. And like for me personally, I was lucky to come here, and I already had a few friends who lived here, and they introduced me to more friends who introduced me to more friends, and it just evolved from there until I met people who were really like my type of people and people that I clicked with. And then now I honestly just go to places where my friends are going or like my friends are performing. I think if you just move to Berlin fresh and you don't know anyone, I think the best would be to go to things like drag shows, because obviously nightclubs is a great place to go and meet other queer people. But I think to really connect with other queer people, I think stuff like performances, like drag shows, or there's queer art galleries. I think like things like this would be a good starting point if you're like fresh in Berlin and you don't know anyone. It's a good way to meet people, because sometimes in the club environment, it can be intense. And if you don't really know people, then it can be a little bit alienating, I can imagine, at the start. So yeah, I think starting off with places like that.
And particularly with dating, if you are dating in Berlin and you're a queer person and you don't like using social media, is it like common to meet people and hook up with people in the club, or what way does it work?
Yes, definitely. I think there's like a lot of people that are either very for like online dating and like hookup culture through apps, but there's a lot of people who don't do social media at all. And yeah, there's a lot of nightclubs or club nights that would be like very sex positive. So this would be like a big way that a lot of people meet other queer people in this capacity.
Pretty good. I love that there is an option for people who don't like using apps, because I think everything is so focused around dating through apps now. So especially for queer people, it's so good that there is a space for queer people in Berlin to go out and hook up with people or meet people and date people and not have to do it through Grindr, Tinder, or Hinge or anything.
Definitely, because personally, I don't do the apps anymore. Like I have phases where I like use some dating apps, be it like hookup apps or like dating apps, and for me, it just doesn't really work. I just find it hard to like connect with people. I think I would be the kind of person who would say I don't really have a type. I think I really like base how I like someone on like our vibe, our interactions. And I feel that dating online can be really like non-personal. It's like everyone's putting their best foot forward. Everyone's putting their best 5 pictures forward. While in person, you cut through all of that. You see them for who they are. You get to the feel for them as a person. So I think, yeah, I'm not an apps person anymore.
Fair. No, I understand that. I know you're not an apps person anymore, but is there like any apps that are specific to Germany in terms of dating? Because I think the obvious ones are like globally known, or like Tinder, Grindr, Hinge, Bumble. Is there anything that's specific to Germany that you know of? Dating app.
I guess there is this app called Gay Romeo, and I think it was more of like a website that's been adapted into an app because it's like really old. And I think this is more of a kind of like in between hookup and dating app. And I don't know if it's just used more in Berlin because there's more queer people, but I hadn't really heard of it before moving here. And this was an app that I liked more than the regular hookup apps when I was using apps.
Okay. I'm just going to like specifically ask, have you been to other cities outside of Berlin, and does gay dating vary a lot depending on where you are in Germany?
Honestly, in Germany, I haven't spent a lot of time in other cities. I have been to cities here and there, and I think that Berlin is definitely very different from the rest of Germany because, firstly, because it is just a city that has a huge amount of international people from everywhere. And it's a city that's known for being queer and for queer partying. So it attracts a very specific type of person. Well, I spent a few weekends in places like Munich or in the south of Germany, and it's much different. It's much more German. And also it's just different. Berlin definitely is unique in that way compared to the rest of Germany. And to like other European cities outside of Germany, I think Berlin really has its kind of like own thing, but I can't really speak too much on dating outside of Berlin.
Outside of Berlin, fair. No, I asked that purely because we were discussing it in the office earlier, and we research coming into these interviews to see what we should expect the answer, what we should anticipate the interviewee saying. And one of the things that we noticed was every piece of information that we got put Berlin apart from the rest of Germany. It's like consistently throughout everything we've seen for Berlin, it's like there's one thing for Berlin, then there's another thing for Germany. It's not necessarily a representation of Germany.
Definitely.
And then I realized then that they legalized gay marriage in Germany in like 2017, which is quite late.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's so different, like even like politically, and just, I think there's just so much history has happened here. And like after the fall of the Berlin Wall, I think that really propels things in a very specific direction for Berlin compared to the rest of Germany. I think, it's just like Germany's kind of been this kind of like incubator for a lot of things like political, art, queerness, just a lot of social things. And I think that the rest of Germany just evolved in a different way. So I think Berlin really is its own bubble. And when you live in Germany you live in Berlin for a long time, and then you go to other cities, you're like, oh yeah, wait, I forgot that like the rest of Germany is quite different. It's just, it's a different vibe completely.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is it a thing to split the bill on a date in Germany? Berlin, specifically.
Honestly, I've heard of this split the bill thing so often, like over my whole life. And I think that the splitting the bill thing is possibly like a very straight thing, because I think in queer world it's different because the dynamics are a bit different. Because traditionally you would hear splitting the bill, the man pays for the bill or whatever. While when you're in a same sex or in a queer relationship, the dynamics are different. So I think personally, I'm always happy to split the bill. If it's drinks or whatever, oh yeah, no, it's okay, I'll get this one. And then next time they'll get the other one or something like that. For me, it's really not important unless it's someone who expects me to pay every time. Then I'm like, no, I think I like fairness. I'm happy to get a few drinks here, you get a few drinks there, like it's chill.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very gender normative question, but it comes up so often.
Not to say that if someone is making like a lot of money and they're like, no, let me get it, then I will put forward that I'm more than happy to pay. But if you're adamant you want to pay, then treat me, baby, I'm good.
Have you ever been in a relationship with a German person? And if you were, How did you know that you were in a relationship?
Okay, to be honest with you, I have never really been in a relationship in general. I have been in like a lot of like situationships, or I've seen a lot of people here and there. But with Germans, I have never been in like a situationship or a relationship.
Okay. So I presume then a lot of the people that you know, like your queer community in Berlin, would they be also expats?
Yes, like my close group of friends were like a bit from everywhere. There's like a couple of Germans, but mostly it is people from English-speaking countries or mainland Europe.
Nice. So you'd probably end up dating a lot of fellow expats then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There is a huge Irish community here. And when I moved here first, I was definitely friends with a lot of Irish people and seeing a lot of Irish people. And then after a while, I was like, no, wait, I left Ireland because I wanted to leave Ireland, not to like move to Little Ireland in Germany. So yeah, I definitely would say I have dated people from kind of everywhere, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good though. I like that. I think it gives you like such a different perspective on dating too. Like when I first moved here, I was dating people from all over the place. And it gives you such a different perspective because you were like, especially for me, at least coming out of Ireland, I was like, whoa, it's so different everywhere else.
Yes,
but
definitely.
it also gives you such a good perspective, such a healthy perspective on dating, I think, because you really learn to like value people just for who they are and not necessarily what their culture is.
Yes, definitely. I agree.
Do you approach people or do they approach you in Berlin? Not you specifically.
Yes.
I just mean in general.
In general.
Do people approach each other in a club? How does it work? How do you approach people if you're interested in dating them?
I think it's like a mix of both. I think it really depends on like your vibe and what you're looking for or who you are in like a dating capacity. I can speak from like my experience that I'm not so good at flirting. Like I definitely go for like a direct approach. So I'm not coy about being like, oh, like giving you little compliments and stuff. I more go in there with, hey, like I think you're cute. You want to go for a drink? You want to hang out? Because I can't really do this kind of like back and forth, like nuance thing. Cause it just, I don't know. Is that the neurodivergence in me? But quite possibly. But I definitely like to go to be the one being like, I like you. These are my feelings. Let me know. And we can do something. If not, that's cool. That's how I approach it.
That's pretty good though. Cause it's like more straightforward. I think sometimes flirting can be so confusing. It's like so new.
No, I'm just like, what is going on? I'm like, are you just being nice? Like, are you like, just stuck at it?
Especially queer people. Queer people can be so confusing with these things.
Yes.
Because you're like, I don't know if you're just being nice or if you're actually flirting with me because you're just a really flirty person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good point. Very good point. We really got into depth about every aspect of dating in Berlin as a queer person. We discussed how there's, and comparatively, at least compared to Ireland, but I also think compared to a lot of countries and a lot of different cities, there's a lot more spaces for queer people in Berlin. And when you're dating in Berlin, it's pretty common to meet people out and about, not necessarily just on apps. But if you do want to use apps, there's an app specific to Germany called Gay Romeo, if you're interested. But then there's also the regular, schmegular dating apps, Tinder, Grindr, Hinge, the usuals, are also functioning perfectly in Germany. There is a gay district in Germany. It's where you said the area. Sorry, say that for me again.
Like the district is Schöneberg, but like the area would be like Nollendorfplatz area.
Yeah, that area specifically is for an older gay scene.
But I would say honestly, like with the younger queer area, there's not really one because I think there's just so many queer people here that there's like little pockets everywhere. Yeah, that's just for me personally because I have a lot of friends who live in Friedrichshain, so I spend a lot of time there. But yeah, there's a bit everywhere.
Good point. If you're new to Berlin and you're queer and you want to make friends or you want to date people, there's so many spaces for you to be in and to connect with people and to meet up with people. Go to drag shows, go to events and clubs, just go to anything you can get your hands on, and that's where you're going to meet people. If you're completely new, you could also use like social media, Facebook groups, Instagram to find other queer people in Berlin. Yeah.
I would say just if you're new to Berlin, just do the things that you like to do anyways. And I think the queer people will follow because there's queer people everywhere, I think. Yeah.
There's also, I think it's important to say there's no right or wrong way to be queer in any part of the world that you go to. You just be yourself, do whatever suits you. Do meet people the way that you want to meet people. Don't force yourself to meet people if you don't want to meet people. At least from what I've seen and from what I've spoken to people about. In Berlin, there's quite a healthy queer culture that like it's very welcoming, very warming, very accepting. And the sense of community seems really strong. So just feed into that as much as you can. Try and meet people. You're in a safe space and you've got a good community around you and plenty of people to date, which is great. Dominick, thank you so much for your time. It was lovely to speak to you. And it was great to have you on the podcast. Be sure to check out our Valentine special for straight dating in Germany, where we'll meet Sonia, who's a Bulgarian expat living in Stuttgart, and she'll share her experience on dating in Germany.
Thanks for having me. Lovely to meet you. Bye. Bye.